What's up, everybody? Oh, yeah. Oh, there's more. I feel much cooler when there's like cool music behind. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to Philly with John Marks on PHLY, as always brought to you by BetParx. We're live on a Thursday morning, Thursday, and I'm in a great mood. So Block B is going to be Phillies talk because they got another easy win last night. We found our new closer. The Phillies have their new closer. More on that coming up. Block B of the show. Shout out to everybody watching live. Good morning, K-Red. Everybody that tunes in 8 a.m. Monday through Friday on PHLY's YouTube page. We appreciate you. Keep tuning in. If you miss a show, you don't have to miss a show because we're available whenever you want to watch. Just to watch on demand. Same link that you click to watch this show is the same link you click to watch later. So check it out. And if you can't catch the video, the YouTube, if you're not watching on TV, we're available on Xfinity, Roku, and Samsung Plus, among others. You can listen to the audio only podcast. So if you maybe get a little bit of a later commute in, man, this show is podcasted by like 5 after 9, 10 after 9. If you're in the car at any point tomorrow or today or whenever, tune in just wherever you get your podcast. Search Philly with John Marks. All right. Good morning to everybody. So I'm in such a good mood today. Anytime the Phillies are winning and winning easily, man, I'm ready. But the Eagles, it came out like shortly after we got off the air yesterday that Dallas Goedert was coming back with the Phillies, according to all the reports that are out there. They came to an agreement. There was talk of a trade or a possible release. I think at one point, most of us were really pessimistic against him coming back. It sure looked like he wasn't coming back, but a lot like Josh Sweat last year, and I don't think nearly as many people cared or it was even on their radar that Sweat may not be coming back. The Eagles wisely put their thumb on the scale a little bit, used their leverage, and the reality was there wasn't a huge market for Dallas Goedert out there via trade or even free agency. There just wasn't. The agent went out there. I'm sure there were a lot of teams that would be interested in Dallas Goedert, but we're not talking about teams wanting Dallas Goedert. We're talking about teams that are going to be willing to give Dallas Goedert a new contract because his existing contract with the Eagles was never going to be used by any team. They weren't going to pay him $15 million for 1 year. They would have wanted to all right, give up a 5th-round draft pick, and we're going to sign you to a 3-year, $20 million contract, a 3-year, $25 million contract. So there wasn't enough interest financially for Dallas Goedert to leave the Eagles. And he comes back on a 1 year. Now it's $10 million. He can earn an extra $1 million in incentives. And this is such great news for any Eagle fan that's out there, because the reality is they didn't really have a backup plan. They signed a couple of veteran guys that may be on the roster, maybe won't be on the roster. You have Grant Calcaterra, who's a good pass-catching tight end, and you didn't draft anybody. So you would have had to go with the as-is group of tight ends, which on a Super Bowl winning team, sure, you could maybe get over not having an above-average tight end with the rest of your roster. But if you have a guy that is above average when healthy, all else being equal, you want to keep him. And the Eagles figured out a way to do it. A wise move by Dallas Goedert. Josh Sweat last year, he probably could have gotten more guaranteed money elsewhere, but he said, you know what? Now this is a all-in prove-it year for me. If I go out there and I perform well, this is a team that's going to be on national TV a lot, and teams will be interested in me. Well, he had a good season. He had a great Super Bowl. He had a great playoff run. And the reality is that 7 sacks or 8 sacks on the Eagles is much more important than 7 or 8 sacks on the Jags or 7 or 8 sacks on the Raiders, pick your mediocre to bad team. It just is. More eyes are on it. You have an opportunity to play in the playoffs, as we saw last year with Dallas Goedert. So Goedert comes back, and he has 60 catches for 700 yards and 7 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns. He's going to get a hell of a lot more money than he was being offered this offseason. Dallas Goedert's not a spring chicken either, and he has real injury concerns. So I think his market's going to be limited regardless, but he's still going to get a nice contract if he has a good year this year. Because, by the way, $10 million for a one-year contract is a pretty good contract for Dallas Goedert, considering the injury stuff. You couldn't have gotten a better scenario for the Eagles. They're not paying big time in the future, so you're not tying yourself to Dallas Goedert. You're able to, at least now, you have another year to draft a tight end next year. So your tight end position is fine. Now it is solved. You have depth with some veteran guys. You have a pass catching tight end in Grant Calcaterra. So you're set at the tight end position. So here's my question. And you know what? Like, just Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, the entire Eagles organization. Like, are you kidding me? Every single move that they make seems to be the right move, whether it's in free agency, the draft. Tyler sent this to me yesterday because it was something that we said a lot, talking about Saquon Barkley and how they overpaid for Saquon Barkley. Gabe Davis, the wide receiver that was just released by the Jags yesterday, he got more or less the same contract, a little bit less guaranteed money. I think $2 million less guaranteed, but it was the same 3-year, $28, $29, $26 million contract. No, it was more than that, but the guaranteed money was like $24, $26 million. It was more or less the same contract. And no one batted an eye when the Jags gave Gabe Davis that contract because he's the wide receiver. Oh, you got to value the wide receiver. You need great wide receivers. Saquon Barkley's a running back. You can't give him that money. Are you crazy? So after one season, Saquon Barkley ran for 2,000 yards. The Eagles won the Super Bowl. After one season, the Jags are cutting Gabe Davis and eating a ton of so Tyler says 3 years, $39 million for Davis, 24 guaranteed. So Saquon got a little bit more guaranteed money. So the Jags release him. It just go like, oh, like what a terrible decision by the Eagles. It just seems like they're able to get everything and anything they want done. And it's incredible. I absolutely love it. So this portion of the show brought to you by GLAT Hair Restoration, GLATHairMM.com, 610-980-4000. Hair's looking pretty good today. Thank you, GLATHairMM.com. You can text them too, 610-980-4000. Tyler Zulli, we say good morning to you. Tyler, what's going on, brother? Can't hear you?
Yeah, that would help if I actually take myself off mute, huh?
But you got to mute yourself because of the dog and the baby and everything else. I understand.
It's craziness in the morning here.
Yes.
Good morning to you as well. And one thing you brought up that I thought was an interesting point about, the numeric, like the sacks on the Eagles versus the sacks on the Jags, or catches on the Eagles versus catches on the Patriots. One thing, too, to add to that, what does playing for the Eagles more times than not do? What does being in the Eagles locker room more times than not do? It provides you offensive and defensive coordinators who eventually go on to become head coaches. And now Josh Sweat is with his former defensive coordinator in Jonathan Gannon in Arizona. Now, I'm not saying that Kellen Moore is going to do the exact same thing with Dallas Goedert because the New Orleans Saints are a disaster in terms of cap space. But what it does is lay the groundwork for you to say, I've had this guy on my team before as a coordinator. I'm a head coach now. This could be a big splash move for me. If I could say I just went out and got a former Eagles player who won a Super Bowl, a former Eagles player who had 3 sacks in the postseason, a former Eagles player who was a former second-round pick and has been to 3 Super Bowls or been to 2 Super Bowls and won 1 in Dallas Goedert. I think that matters in terms for these guys. So I think there's some merit to say. I don't know. Again, I don't know about Goedert versus Moore specifically, but you could say there's these former coordinators that the Eagles have had that have gone on to become head coaches, that if they're looking to make a splash move, they may go to somebody that they already know and something that's a proven commodity to them and make the move to sign these guys. It's a great deal for Goedert if he can have another excellent season and stay relatively healthy.
Yeah, for sure. So I was talking about this. I was streaming last night. And if you think about it, right, Eagles won the Super Bowl 2017 and 2018. The 2018 season, you think about the difference in these two teams, right? So they win the Super Bowl 2017. There were a lot of mercenaries on that team, right? Like you had a couple of one-year contracts with veterans.
Sure.
Nick Foles obviously was the backup when the season started, but you had LeGarrette Blount, Jay Ajayi was a guy you traded for. When you look at the rosters, so I said, you know what? Let me look at the depth chart from the 2018 season. And that Eagles team was still good. They made the playoffs in 19. They were a drop pass away from going to a another NFC Championship game. Who knows what happens there? But so your quarterbacks were Carson Wentz, Nick Foles, and Nate Sudfeld. And Wentz self-destructed that year. That was the beginning of the end for him. Running backs, Jay Ajayi, Darren Sproles, Corey Clement, Wendell Smallwood. Ooh. Wide receiver, Alshon, who was pretty much broken down after that. Nelson Aguilar, Mike Wallace, who played, I think, a game before he got hurt. Shelton Gibson, Matt Collins, DeAndre Carter. PU. Tight ends were good. Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert. Richard Rodgers, who there might not be a bigger Dick Rod fan in Philadelphia. I love Richard Rodgers. The offensive line was like, it was good. Jason Peters, Brandon Brooks. You had Wisniewski, Lane Johnson, Vaitai, Chance Warmack. Mailata was young. He wasn't playing yet. And, of course, you had Jason Kelsey. So the offense, you look at those running backs, you look at those wide receivers. I mean, Jesus, how did they win a Super Bowl with those guys?
Yeah, the skill position players were not particularly strong at that point. And you look at this team comparably, and you know, it's two guys at the top, obviously, but it's two really, really good receivers at the top.
So let's do the defense, and then we'll talk about the difference, right? The defense, Brandon Graham, still obviously plenty of steams in his prime. Fletcher Cox in his prime. They signed Michael Bennett and his shoulder pads. I hated Michael Bennett. Chris Long was there. Derek Barnett. Linebackers, Camus, Grugier Hill, Joe Walker, Jordan Hicks, Nate Jerry. Yeah.
It's a bad list. I mean, obviously Jordan Hicks has gone on to have a good career, but
yeah. Corners, Ron Darby, Jalen Mills, Sidney Jones, Rasul. Safeties, Malcolm Jenkins, Rodney McLeod, who were still good. So you look at that compared to the current Eagles depth chart. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, Dallas Goedert, Lane Johnson, Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, Jordan Mailata, either Kenyon Green or Tyler Steen or somebody else. On defense, Carter, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, Zach Bond, Ojimo, the rookie they just drafted, Alex Hunt, the Kobe Dean, Keely Ringo, Quinyon, Cooper DeJean, Reed Blankenship. I mean, Jesus, God, where's the weakness on this team?
Yeah, I mean,
second corner, maybe?
I think the two things that stand out for this team, you know, trying for an opportunity to run it back versus that 2017-2018 team is high-end talent. Obviously, the receiver position is so much better between Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. Zach Bond being a legitimate top 10 linebacker in the NFL last season gives him somebody to play off of. And obviously, with Nakobe Dean's injury, it's definitely, you know, difficult to, how do you replace him? Is it going to be Jahad Campbell? Who's it going to be? You know, stepping up into that second linebacker spot. But then you think about like Quinyon Mitchell is a stud, young stud. Jalen Carter, young stud. Cooper DeJean, young stud. Like this is a team. And that's the second part. Is the young talent on this team is so much better than what that team had, the 18-19 team had. Like there is a wealth of young talent who are still on their rookie deals. And now listen, these guys are going to end up costing you a ton of money if you want to re-sign them. Jalen Carter is probably going to end up being the highest paid defensive tackle ever. I genuinely think we're trending in that direction. Quinyon Mitchell has looked elite in his first season. Cooper DeJean looked like he was just an absolute weapon for the team in his first season. You're going to end up having to pay all these guys, and somebody's going to walk, or you just can't, you know, you can't afford everybody. But right now, when you have a high-paid offense and a fairly cheap defense, that's how you are able to accumulate all of this talent and have an offense with elite-level players, like elite-level veterans, and a defense with elite-level young players, and you merge the two together, and that's why this team feels like they are not going to go anywhere anytime soon.
Well, like you said, in their prime, who on the 2017 Super Bowl team was in their prime? Right? Like Carson Wentz should have been in his prime, but we know how that worked out. I mean, none of the running backs ended up doing anything. None of the wide receivers ended up doing anything. Nelson Aguilar, you would have said, is in his prime, but he didn't. He just went down. Ertz was still in his prime. A number of the offensive linemen were still in their prime. Brandon was. Fletcher was. None of the other guys were even worth talking about. Really, nobody else was on that team. And then you look at this team, and it's like AJ's very much in his prime. Devontae's in his prime. The entire offensive line, really, and you don't know about one position, but the entire offensive line, those guys are in their prime. Lane Johnson may be on the back end of his career. He's still maybe the best right tackle, or he's a top 2 or 3 right tackle in football.
He's an ageless wonder. I mean, he continues to just be an elite level player. Like we've talked about for years now. It's like, well, maybe they start thinking about Lane Johnson's replacement once in the draft this year, and then they don't. And then you go, okay, how many more years does Lane Johnson have? And then he comes back out and plays at an all-pro level, and you go, okay, yep, he's still legit. And he's still, like you said, probably a top 2 or 3 right tackle in the game.
And then you look at the defense. Jalen Carter hasn't even entered his prime yet. He's still learning. He's still growing, but like this is the beginning of it. Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, you can't even say they're in their prime yet because they're ascending, right? Like Jalix Hunt, Reed Blankenship feels like, all right, like maybe he's in his prime right now. Zach Bond is in his prime. He was a top 5 defensive player last year.
Yeah.
Right? Like you look at the entire line. Nolan Smith, what's he going to look like in year 3? Ojimo, now with even more snaps that he's going to get an opportunity. So, like, man, you look at the upside of this team, and then you look at the draft picks they're making, Makuba and Campbell, and some of the young players. You realize that we haven't even mentioned Bryce Huff once, like in I don't even know how long. You forget that he's even on the roster. That's the one bad move that Howie Roseman has made. And you know what? Like, now that's upside. So like, there's upside for him because we expect nothing from him.
Bryce Huff, and I know I'm going to compare him to a guy that I think we'll probably talk about later in the show. Bryce Huff is in his Taijuan Walker phase right now, where the expectations are 0. It's a high monetary contract. Now, the difference between the NFL and the Major League Baseball is the Phillies were saddled with Walker's contract no matter what. The Eagles have an out, I think, after this year. Maybe it's after next year, but obviously the NFL is not entirely guaranteed.
No, it's after this year. You would have to take like a couple $1 million dead cap hit. Sure. You get a little bit more guaranteed in the year 3, but yeah, they can get rid of him after this year.
But my point is the comp is fair in terms of like brought in to be a higher paid guy with expectations, did not live up to those expectations, and now the expectations are the floor, and anything you get is positivity, or you just say you've got one more year of this contract. And then you're starting to think about moving on. If you get anything from him, if he becomes a rotational piece next year in the edge rush front, then I think that's enough to, like, not to justify the contract, but it's enough to placate the fans because of the depth of the rest of the team. Like you said, Jalix Hunt took a huge step, especially in the second half of the year. Nolan Smith has gotten better and better and better. And I was not a huge Nolan Smith fan when they drafted him simply because of his size. I didn't know if he was going to be too undersized to play the edge rush position at a full-time level. He's proven me like he's getting closer and closer to proving me wrong. Like they have just supplemented the losses that they've had with young guys who have been able to step up and play. And so if Bryce Huff gives you anything next year, that's a plus.
Yeah. Just even if he's playing 15 snaps a game and he's going in there on pass rush situations, definitely. Who knows? And if he doesn't, who cares? We're going to forget about him anyway. So, like, wow, man, what a time to be alive as an Eagle fan. God, I love talking about my football team. It is so fun.
Well, you've said this plenty of times, but like the league runs through the Eagles now. And you know, you could say that like with your chest out because they just won the Super Bowl. But it is kind of true in which the league is oftentimes trying to emulate what the Eagles are doing. I mean, we give the running joke about like teams aren't answering Howie Roseman's calls anymore. But I genuinely,
for good reason.
I genuinely wonder, is that a real thing? Like if Howie Roseman's number pops up, are they like leery to answer the phone call?
Well, would you be?
Probably. I mean,
I would.
The funny thing is too, like I think people have used the word fleece a lot with Howie Roseman. I don't know if he's fleeced teams a ton, but he's won over the last couple of years, won the trades way more than he's lost the trades.
Yeah, I've heard Howie talk about how you don't want to rip off a team and to where they feel like, oh my God, what Rob Pelinka did to Nico Harrison, right? Like that just felt like it was like he took advantage of him, and he like how he's trying to make deals and make relationships where like Washington had said the Eagles were trying to trade up. Washington's like, oh yeah, you're gonna have to pay us a lot more if we're gonna trade in division, right? So Howie's looking for value in the margin. So for him, it's probably even half of it's like, all right, like I like to good value, but like he wasn't looking for value out of Saquon Barkley, right? Like he went in the onset of free agency and he paid market price for Saquon Barkley, which was still a steal. Don't get me wrong. But like a lot of teams would have waited around and seen the market die down and then try to make a play for it. Howie knew there was teams that were interested in it. He came right out and he gave the big contract, which was very smart.
There are probably in any given year, there's probably 5 or 6 teams who have the right and have earned the right to sign a running back to a big deal, because the numbers tell you over the last decade plus that like the highest paid rusher on a Super Bowl team oftentimes doesn't make a lot of money. They're either on rookie deals or they're, as you brought up the word mercenary, they're mercenary vets. Or the one that I always laugh at was the leading rusher for the year the Seahawks won the Super Bowl was Percy Harvin, the wide receiver in the postseason. So like my point is, there's only a couple of teams each year who can justify spending big time money on a running back. The Eagles have found themselves in that spot because they were a roster that was they were competitive, obviously went to the Super Bowl. The year after was a disappointing end to the year, but started the year 10-1. And they had expectations of being a deep postseason team again this year. And they basically said, what could help us put us over the top? An elite level run game with an offensive line that we know is going to produce for this running back. So let's go get Saquon Barkley. The Ravens went out and signed Derrick Henry because they're a team that has deep postseason playoff aspirations.
Makes sense.
Teams like Carolina right now shouldn't have signed, you signed Miles Sanders. It was a bad move. And then you went out and paid Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard's a better running back than Miles Sanders, but you were then paying both guys for a while. It's not a good allocation of your cap funds.
Right.
The teams that are good enough to do it should go spend the money on the elite running backs. Otherwise, do it by committee, do it by rookie contracts. That's the way to go. Yeah,
the Cowboys are a good enough team. They should have signed Derrick Henry. Could you imagine the difference if they had Derrick Henry? They gave Ezekiel Elliott $3 million guaranteed, and he's totally cooked. Derrick Henry got $6 million more guaranteed from the Ravens.
And it's not even just Derrick Henry. Like, thinking back on the year now, like Rico Dowdle was fine, but what if they could have just brought Tony Pollard back? Who, obviously was in a committee with Tajay Spears, but was pretty good this year.
Yeah, he's good. Thank God. Keep doing what you're doing, Dallas Cowboys. Coming up, all right. And we have more Eagles coming up later on in the show because Saquon Barkley is on the banquet tour. Is it similar to Cole Hamels? But he spoke about the tush push and the upcoming ban that everybody is expecting. That's Block C. Block B is next. Oh, you're fighting Phils, man. It has been fun to watch them. And we found ourselves a new closer. Don't worry about the bullpen, ladies and gentlemen. We got our guy. Philly with John Marks. Back after this. Don't go anywhere. Oh, hoo-ah, hoo-ah. All right. So check it out. Go to my, if you're on Instagram, you should be following my Instagram page. I don't have 1.3 million followers like Fit Dad CEO, but I do have pictures from GLAT Hair Restoration. I had a hair restoration procedure. I think you have to go back. Is it 2021 now? It was still COVID era. But just scroll back. I documented before, during, after the procedure. So a lot of people they ask me like, well, do you have pictures? Do you have this shit? Yeah, I do. Just go to my Instagram, John Marks Media, JONMARKS Media, John Marks Media. You can also slide into my DMs or you can email me, johnmarksmedia@gmail.com. With any questions that you have. If you want me to hand you off to my friends over at GLAT Hair Restoration, their hair team, Lisa will take great care of you. Cheryl will take great care of you. Answer any questions that you have and maybe get you in for a consultation, right? Like every person is different, right? Some people might be like really ready to go when they walk in and like, no, I want hair restoration. I've heard Mark's talking about it for a long time. Other people may be like, yeah, like I have some hair loss, but I know there's other options that are out there than just hair restoration. Perfect. And the one thing they're not going to do, and I've talked to them about this, is they're not trying to sell you a car. It's not like when you go into a car dealership and they're trying to sell you a car. They're giving you the information. They're giving you what they think because they're not just going to be like, all right, hair restoration, there you go. You may not be ready for that right now. You might be able to do the other options to where you never need the hair restoration. GLATHairMM.com. That's their website. A lot of great information. Or if you want to text or call them, 610-980-4000. 610-980-4000. GLATHairRestoration.com. Hooah! There we go. All right, check it out. Empire Today, flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals. That's right. They focus on flooring every single day. So if you're going to try to save a buck or two, at least you think you are, it's not going to happen. But you go to the big box store and Larry from plumbing has to come over to answer your questions because they don't have anybody working in flooring that day. Don't do that. Empire Today brings the showroom to your home. That is correct. They live and breathe flooring every day. So what they're doing is a lot different than anybody else. So in your home, with your lighting, with your paint on your walls, it makes a difference to what your flooring is going to like as opposed to being in a showroom. It makes too much sense. You're picking the right flooring and the right colors for your space. So they're going to take detailed and precise measurements. So you know exactly what you're working with. And if you'd like, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. And right now you can save $350 by using promo code PHLY. So schedule a free in-home estimate and use code PHLY for a $350 discount. Restrictions do apply. Go to empiretoday.com/PHLY for full details. empiretoday.com/PHLY. Hoo-ah, we're back. Philly with John Marks on a Thursday. And we're going to be home for the next couple of days, maybe even the next week, because Tyler's he's some time off next week. So normally when that happens, I work from the home studio, which I'm continuing to try to upgrade. You can see what do you think of my backdrop there, Tyler? I have some bobbleheads. I have an Eagles helmet. Let me see what you can actually, you can't see it now, but I have Phillies bobbleheads. I have an Eagles helmet from when I was a boy. I have a signed Army Navy helmet signed by Roger Staubach himself.
That's cool.
It is cool. It's very cool, actually.
Yeah, I mean, your backdrop sure beats my generic apartment vertical blinds.
Love the vertical blinds.
Well, I think this is just like it's an apartment staple, right? Anybody that's ever lived in an apartment has had these blinds. You either have these or the really thin horizontal ones.
Yep.
And either way, if you have animals, they're destroyed.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know. Well, listen, we're gonna have to upgrade because you're doing a lot. You're doing your Phillies recap at the end of every game. So, we got to get you the better setup right there. I know you're low on space and you have the baby and things like that. So with time.
Once the plan is probably at the end of the summer to upgrade to a larger space. So I think when we do that, we'll potentially have a second room and the opportunity to expand a little bit.
Right. Well, good. Well, to my point of the recap last night, the Phils there's nothing I like more, dude, than an easy Phillies win, a comfortable Phillies win. Like, it was over. The Rays don't seem like they have a lot of interest right now, or they are not playing well because the Phillies have come in and just smashed them. Chris Sanchez did not have his best stuff. His command is still a little bit lacking. It didn't matter last night. He only gave up one hit. And then what do you know? Reliever extraordinaire. You want an elite reliever? How about Taijuan Walker? He gets the rare 3-inning save. That's right. Only gave up one hit. He struck out the side over the first 2 innings. Lots of swings and misses. 3 innings, 7 strikeouts, only one measly friggin' hit. Phils win 7-0. Now, since saves became official in 1969, and this is courtesy of Elias Sports and via Todd Zalecki, Taijuan Walker's 224 games are the third most into a career at the time of a player's first save while pitching for the Phillies. Taijuan Walker, 224 games, gets the save last night for the Phillies. The 2 other players, and I'll bring in the baseball bot, Tyler Zulli, for this one. One reliever last year got his first save 264 games into his career.
264 games into his career. So,
you're a bigger fan than most with this guy.
I'm a bigger fan than most with this guy. Oh, okay.
Had a save last year on September 29th for the Phillies.
Oh, for the Phillies. Excuse me. I thought you meant for in general. I was thinking like the entire league.
No, just the Phillies.
Had a save. I'm a bigger fan than most of this guy. Oh, I don't know.
Jose Ruiz got a save last year.
Okay.
And then in 2001, Real Cormier, 314 games into his career, gets a save for the Philly. Frenchie, I believe the late Frenchie. I think Real passed away not too long ago of cancer, but I'll Google that. Just like I'm known for killing people before they're dead. Tyler,
There
just
was
so you know,
there was a time frame with Real Cormier where I feel like he pitched every game. Like if you would have told me he pitched 100 times in a year, like in 2003 or something, I might have believed you.
Yep. Yes, for sure. He was he was one of the he started off as a starter too at the Cardinals, and then he kind of bounced around a little bit, and then later on, like a lot of pitchers, they become full-time relievers later in their career. And man, he was good. He was at the Phillies for 6 seasons. So like he had, like with a lot of pitchers, you have the outlier seasons, but for the most part, man, he was really, really good.
So I was semi joking, but it actually was almost serious. In 2004, he pitched 84 games for the Phillies.
You love guys that take the ball whenever. Larry Anderson was one of those guys. Tom Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
It seemed like he's another guy that pitched every game for the Yankees and the Phillies. Tom Gordon's an underrated pitcher.
Tom Gordon had some really, really good years. I think he had a really good year with the Cubs too. The one season, I forget exactly what year it was, but I think he had a decent year with the Cubs as well.
Yeah. Yeah, he pitched. I mean, Joe Torre really used him. He had 80 appearances and 79 appearances in back-to-back years for the Yankees. 159 appearances. All right, so enough of this. This is like baseball bot type stuff that we like to talk about. All right. I mean, listen, here's the bottom line. And this was like low leverage. They're up big. They get Sanchez out after 85 pitches. So it's like, hey, let's give Taijuan Walker some work. It literally couldn't have worked out any better. He went 3 innings. Nobody got taxed in the bullpen. There was no high leverage. There was no warming up or anything like that. And Taijuan Walker looked really good in the shorter stint. His stuff was good. He was getting swings and misses. So yeah. This is now like I'm joking around when I'm saying we found our closer, but who the hell knows what he can turn into out of the bullpen?
Well, he brought it up last night, and I think the one thing actually is pretty true is he said this on the postgame with T-Mac and Ruben Amaro, where he was like, guys aren't used to seeing relievers with 4 and 5 pitch mixes. And it's true. More times than not, if you're throwing 4 or 5 pitches, you are a starter, right? Like I think about a Ryan Kerkering with 2 pitches, and there's a multitude of relievers that might throw 3, but they're
really
2,
they throw 2, yeah,
right? Like Alvarado is fastball cutter for the most part. And you can get away with that when you throw 100. But I think with Taijuan Walker, you brought it up. His velocity was up last night to about 94, which is great to see. And B, he was able to feature 4 or 5 different pitches at any given time. Now, I will say this. I think the Rays stink. Like they were 2 games under 500. I think they're going to be I think they're not a very good hitting team to begin with. Like outside of Yandy Diaz and Jonathan Aranda, like I don't think they're a very particularly strong hitting team. And I also think this is a wash year for them because of the outlying factors of the stadium and everything. So this could be a team that only wins 75 games or something. But I will say this, like to come into a situation that you're not used to is a difficult situation. And I've given Taijuan Walker a lot of credit this year. And I did it yesterday or on Monday on the Philly show after his last start. Like this guy's taken a lot of vitriol from the city, myself included, because he was so bad last year. And this year he's done nothing but pitch well, be a consummate pro, a great teammate. Rob Thompson adores him, and I understand why, because he seems like a great teammate. And on top of all of that, he's pitched well this year.
He has. Yeah, I mean, and the biggest thing, the Rays do stink. They really do. They're terrible. They are. So you have the Guardians this weekend. That's going to be on the road. That's going to be a much tougher
good team
series. Oh yeah, very good team. Here's a couple of other good things here. Isn't it weird, Tyler, that all right, so let me ask you. The 2 highest averages on the team among regulars are who?
I believe at this point it's Trey Turner.
Yes. Trey Turner has the highest batting average on the team. He's hitting 307.
I mean, we talked about the power not being back, the gap-to-gap hitting, but he's been really good the last 2 weeks.
All right, so number 2, second highest average among regulars.
Are we considering Johan Rojas a regular?
Yes.
Because he's the answer then.
The two guys that nobody wants to give credit for, and I'm just as good. Like, I like Rojas more than the regular, the average trade. I like Rojas. Drives me crazy with the defense. But like Trey Turner, and I want to like Trey Turner. I think he's a really good dude. But you look at what he's doing, like you said, man, when he gets hot, he can carry the team. He's hitting the ball hard. He had a home run last night. He's stealing bases. But like, I don't know what it is, man. He's right now. He's their best hitter, and nobody wants to talk about him when he's the best hitter. We just want to bitch when the defense is bad. But
Yeah,
it's weird. It's weird.
I think he is getting a little, you would call it lucky, I guess, at times. Like, he's finding some soft spots and things like that. His expected numbers are worse than his averages, but sometimes, like, you just need to look at the back of the baseball card and say, hey, that was a really good week. That was a really good series. That was a really good, month stretch or whatever it is. He's 11 for 27 in May. He's hitting 407 in the month of May. His average was 247 on April 23rd. It's now 307. He's gone up 60 points in 2 weeks. He has, like I said, 11 hits in May, but then on top of that, he had 9 hits in the Cubs series and the first game of the National Series to end April. So you're talking about 20 hits over like a 10, 11 game stretch. This guy has been really efficient for this team so far. Now, you could talk about the defense. It's still not good, but offensively, he's been really efficient for this team over the last 2 weeks.
No, and it's not going to get better. And I would have to think his home's going to be left field, maybe second base. Can he play left field? But it's not going to be shortstop. But I mean, he's been great. You said he's been great. It seems like he's getting 2 hits in almost every game, but yet I still don't appreciate it. So I wanted to shout him out there. And how about, like, this is the kind of thing, like when I see something like this, it just, honestly, I like it more than home runs, but I think it was more of a squeeze and a safety squeeze, but the execution from Rojas last night on that bunt to be able to get it down and to easily score a run, like, this team needs to be able to manufacture. When I say manufacture, I don't want to get too crazy because they hit lots of home runs, but a guy like Rojas needs to be able to get runs in at the bottom of the lineup. And if that means you're executing a perfect safety squeeze and a run of scoring, that's what this team needs. They can't freaking rely on just hitting home runs come postseason. That's been their kryptonite the last couple of years. So I like the fact that the bottom of this lineup, I love Bryson Stott, the leadoff hitter. His average is up to 270.
Well, and I think with Rojas specifically, it was a well-executed play that they tried about a week ago and failed miserably at it.
Yes.
Really bad bunt attempt. And it looked like, maybe it was just a good situation and it worked for him. But this one, it looked much cleaner. He was out in front of the ball. He has this tendency when he bunts to, like, stab at it. And anybody that's ever, tried to bunt before, if you try to stab at the ball, you're toast.
You want to make it dead.
Yeah, you basically, like, the way that I've always been taught was, like, you almost want to take it like a lacrosse stick and allow the netting of the lacrosse stick to be your barrel and kind of absorb it like you were catching a lacrosse ball, and then to flatten it, right? And so, but part of that is getting out in front. He was way too far on his back foot, and he was allowing it to get too far back in on. Last night, it looked like a much cleaner bunt attempt.
You're damn right. Phillies now 21-15. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games. So
first time they've been over 6 games over this season too. And by the way, John, the month of May should be kind to the Phillies. Their schedule in May is relatively easy. Like you said, they've got the Guardians coming up. Sorry, I was about to say Oakland. Sacramento, the Athletics are mid-month. They've played some really good baseball actually this year. And then the Braves, even though they're under 500, have been much better since their really, really bad start. But they have 4 against the Rockies, 3 against the Pirates, 3 against the Cardinals. They have the opportunity to win, sweep this series against the Rays tonight. They have a chance to stack up some wins and stack up some series because June gets more difficult for the Phillies. I think they start to get into they have another series with the Mets in June. They have a series with the Cubs again. They play the Astros. I know they're not as, record-wise not as good, but they have the Braves. And then at the end of June, early July, they play the Padres. They got the Giants again. So June and July are going to be much more difficult than May is. May is an opportunity to really stack some wins.
Let's do it. Coming up, Saquon Barkley, his thoughts on the tush push ban from the Met Gala. He discussed this. We'll play that. Also, I want the Sixers to be the Knicks. I want to be a Knicks fan. I'm stopping myself. I'm certainly rooting for him to beat the Celtics, in large part because I think it just hurts the Sixers. It makes them feel worse. Daryl Morey. Knicks win last night. Another amazing comeback in the fourth quarter. We'll discuss that. Our BetParx Parlay of the day, unfortunately for you guys. That's coming up next. Philly with John Marks. 2-2. We're back. 2-2. All right, so check it out. And I apologize to BetParx. We're not doing them any favors with our picks. I deferred last night, and I said, you know what, Tyler and Black Gritty, you go for it. I'm a loser. I'm a sucker. And Black Gritty took the Celtics on the money line because the Celtics weren't going to at home lose the first two games of the series. This just wasn't going to happen. 0% chance until they blew a 16-point fourth quarter lead, and they did. So kaput goes the parlay, but that doesn't mean that you have to suck like us. Listen, you can live bet. It's a great way to watch the game. You have the game tonight in Tampa, but player performances in baseball, player hits, home run, RBI, strikeouts, and more. We talked about pro basketball playoffs. We talk about NHL playoffs. Whether or not you're betting on any of those things, there's always another way to win on the BetParx Sportsbook and online casino app. It's the only app I would ever recommend to bet sports and to play all your favorite casino games in the palm of your hands. And this is live dealer stuff. This isn't fugazi games. Blackjack, roulette, craps, poker, hot online slots like Cash Eruption, Cleopatra, Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, all your favorite classic casino games wherever you are. And if you're a new user, well, download the app. Get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. Go to betparx.com to download the app and enjoy all the action and excitement from the casino at your fingertips. You must be 21 and then PA, New Jersey, Maryland, or Michigan for BetParx. You love to play. You play to win. You bet BetParx. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Hoo-ah. All right, TrueMark Financial. And I can, a lot of times, because I'm a TrueMark customer, when you're talking about them, you can relate to what you're saying, right? So right now for me, we're trying to plan a trip to Disney. I don't even know, like next, like before Easter. So like 11 months from now. And it costs a lot of money. So how do you get it done? All right. Well, you get to TrueMark because they're trying to like, your financial goals that you have, whether it's taking the vacation or you want to buy a house, you want to build back up your emergency fund. TrueMark Financial has the perfect savings account for you. They're offering high rate certificate and money market accounts to help your money grow faster and work harder for you. If you have a savings account and it's just a regular savings account, what are you doing? You can get high yield, high interest, and you can do it right now with TrueMark Financial Credit Union. So visit TrueMark.com/PHLY, TrueMark.com/PHLY. Federally insured by the NCUA. Rates are subject to change. Mary Ellen actually from TrueMark reached out to me and she's like, where you been? Don't be a stranger. I haven't seen you. And she's right. I haven't made it into the Audubon branch for a couple weeks now. I'm going to have to stop by. Great people at TrueMark. They are really, really the best. I can't recommend them anymore. They've been great for me. All right. So, all right, let's just get it out of the way here, Tyler. Tyler, you hit last night. You even, first thing you said to me today was you were bragging about your pick. And I'm like, yeah, too bad Black Gritty took the Celtics. And you're like, no. I'm like, yes.
I just want to say, I know we've not done well between the three of us. And really, I guess Bill was on with us the other day. I don't think he made a pick. But I've now hit on 3 of my last 4. And Barcelona screwed me yesterday or 2 days ago out of being 4 for my last 4. So it doesn't mean anything if we don't hit as a team. We win and lose as a team.
We do.
But I feel okay about what I've done over the last couple of days.
All right, let's keep it going. I might ask you to make both picks. Are the Phillies going for a sweep? Let me ask you this: are they winning?
The Phillies have had an opportunity to sweep out, 3 consecutive series now and have not done it. They had a chance to do it against the Diamondbacks, chance to do it against the Nationals, and then not against the Cubs. So this is the 3rd straight chance. I think if there was ever a play to do it with Luzardo on the mound tonight, this is we talked about a pretty bad Rays team. I think if they're going to break the skid of winning the first 2 and not sweeping, I think tonight might be an opportunity to do it.
I agree. So that's going to be mine. They are minus 137 on the money line, the Phillies. So that's going to be, because I agree. I mean, it honestly looks like it should be a little bit bigger, but anyway, yeah, like why not? Why not go with the Phillies? So where else are we going? We got to bet 100 tonight too. We got to get over the positive side.
I'm going back to a player prop in baseball. The Rangers and the Red Sox are playing tonight, and Brian Bayo for the Red Sox makes his 4th start of the year. He's gone 5 innings, 6 innings, and 6 2/3 innings in his first 3 starts. He's given up just 5 earned runs. He's been really good since coming back. I am going to go to Brian Bayo's outs prop tonight as a pitcher. And the last I saw it was 15.5. It's actually up to 16.5 now. But I'm going to take the over 16.5 outs for Brian Bayo tonight at minus 124 against the Rangers. He is facing a Rangers team that likes to free swing early. So if he can get some outs early in the game, I think it's going to go a long way to his pitch count. And as I said, the minimum he's gotten is 15 in his first 3 starts. So if he can get me into the 6th inning and get me maybe 6 would be great. Get me 18 outs. I'd love that. But the over is 16.5 tonight. I'm going to take the over at minus 124.
Minus 124. All right. So minus 137, minus 124, 100, 137. We need this, man.
We have to.
We just flag. I mean, we can't. It's a sponsor segment, so we can't. So that would win us 212.50.
Okay.
If we hit the 100. All right, let's do it. All right, let's do it.
By the way, I think Futz brought up in the chat that don't even need to look at the over tonight to see what Luzardo's strikeout rates are. So over 5.5 is minus 150. Over 6.5 is plus 138. So can Luzardo strike out 7 tonight?
I feel like we've been stake bitten when it comes to the strikeout.
We have
props. All right. I like your pick. I like your picks. Let's do it.
All right, cool.
All right. So last night, and I was streaming, and it happened like right when I was going on the air. But I saw this game. I was watching earlier, and I'm like, oh, well, the Celtics have this one. Obviously, it's a game they can't lose. They're the better team. The Knicks are a tough team. They had a really good game 1. And then the Celtics, man, like they look cooked. 8 minutes left to go in the game. The Knicks were down by 16 points, 84-68. They stormed back. They beat the Celtics. The Celtics now go to New York down to 0-2 in the series. And I can't, every time I watch the Knicks, all I say is this is a Philadelphia team. They're talented, but they're also grinders. They play defense. It ain't necessarily pretty, but like this is a Philadelphia type team. And they did it again last night. They didn't give up when they hit shots when it mattered. Josh friggin' Hart, and he did this against the Sixers. It just felt like every big 3-point shot that he needed to make, he made. So like you look at this team and the construction of this team, man, they're tough. Could the Knicks go to the NBA Finals? I mean, it looks like they would have to go through the Pacers at this point if they do end up, and the Celtics aren't dead yet, but it's going to be tough going to New York. That's going to be a crazy atmosphere. I mean, Tyler actually talked about this yesterday. He talked about parity in the NBA. And my problem with the NBA as a whole for a long time was that there were only 3 or 4 teams that could win a title. You knew it going into the season. So if you're not one of those teams, why the hell would you pay attention other than you love your team, but you know that they can't win? There are a number of teams. It is so wide open right now. I literally wouldn't be surprised if you look. I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks ended up in the NBA Finals. Denver, OKC, Minnesota, Golden State, Cleveland's down 0-2, which is crazy. They're banged up. Indiana, there is a lot of parity right now in the NBA playoffs, and it's made for a really, really good playoffs. There were more good games last night.
Yeah, so I saw a graphic yesterday, and I had not checked in on game 1 of the Cleveland series. Admittedly, I knew that the Pacers won game 2, but I had not checked in on game 1 until I saw a graphic and it was like, here's the Cavs starters for game 2. And I'm like, what the heck? And I read up into it and I'm like, oh yeah, they're really, really banged up right now. But you're right. I mean, you talk about Denver, they win game 1 against Oklahoma City. And then last night they give up almost 150 to the Thunder. And so that series is 1-1. You're right. It feels like you're on trajectory for the Pacers to go to the Eastern Conference Finals just because of the injuries because of Cleveland. And Boston's not dead yet, but if they keep jacking up 63s and not making enough, then it may be a Knicks-Pacers Eastern Conference Finals. Like Minnesota is still very much in consideration. Like you're right.
Steph's out for at least a week, so that's good. Obviously hurt the Warriors. But
this could be, I mean, I think of what are there, 8 teams left? I think of the 8 teams left, there's a chance that like 6 of them could legitimately be NBA Finals teams.
Yep. Yeah, there's no, like, if the Knicks make the finals, could they beat OKC or, yeah, they could.
Yeah, that's the thing is, and it's going to be such a clash of styles, right? OKC wants to get up and run. They want to just pour points in. And the Knicks want to grind things to a halt. Yeah. They want to beat you up. They want to so I have a buddy who's a Celtics fan and he texted me. We were talking about the first round and he goes, hey, the Celtics are going to beat the Magic. There's no doubt about it. But like the Magic are a physical team and he's worried about, injuries piling up. And they played pretty physical and Jason Tatum's banged up. And then the Celtics come into this one and then they go up against a more physical, more talented Knicks team than compared to the Magic team. And the Knicks are just beating them up right now. And so the Knicks can play with anybody because they can just like grind the game to a halt. And then they beat you. They have legitimate scorers at the end of the game when they need to be legitimate scorers.
Yep. I want to, like, I'm 100% rooting for the Knicks over the Celtics. And people got pissed at me for saying that. But like, what do you want me to say? You want me to be like, oh, well, I'm a 76er fan. Jesus Christ. It's been 42 years since the Sixers have won a championship. They've been to the conference finals once in those times since that title. One time. And you know what? Like, I'm okay with my teams not being great. The Sixers, unfortunately, they're effed. They're effed because they're so pot committed to what they have because they can't get out of it.
Yep.
So it's almost like it's a slow death march to where you're saying like, okay, well, now that we have to break it up because there's no other option. Oh, cool. So I'm going to get 2 more years of underachieving basketball with potentially Joel Embiid having a chronic knee condition. This is never going to go away. This sucks. I mean, it really, really does. It sucks to be a 76er fan. And by the way, it didn't just start this year. This is years of failure, really.
No, yeah, I've said for a while, the series against the Hawks broke me. As a Sixers fan, that loss to the Hawks really broke me.
It was the end.
You could say, like, the Raptors series was a fun series. And Joel Embiid with the sickness and all of that, like, could they have beaten the Raptors? 100%. They should have won game 4. There shouldn't have even been a game 7. Yeah. And then, I think the one fallacy that people bring up is, man, if Kawhi doesn't hit that shot, the Sixers are going to win that series. Well, they still would have had to go to overtime. I'm not sure if they win a game 7 overtime in Toronto with how that crowd was crazy that year. And Kawhi was a killer that season. He was the best player on the planet that season. So I don't know if they win that series or not. But the Hawks series broke me, man, in a way that, like, I have never felt as a sports fan before, as a Philadelphia sports fan before, just because it was like, I'm so tired of hitting my head against the wall. And then they follow it up a couple years later, being up 3-2 with a different team, different coach, up 3-2 against the Celtics with a chance to win game 6. And not only do you lose game 6, but you lose game 7 too. And it's just been this running, it's almost like a running gag at this point of like the Sixers are going to have the rug pulled out from under them at some point.
Yeah, I agree with you. The Raptors lost, like, it was crushing in the moment. And it was like stunning because it's like, did that really just happen? But the Raptors end up winning the title, and like they were a bona fide team. In that decisive game 7, Joel Embiid 6 of 18, 21 points, 4 turnovers. Like, Ben Simmons was 4 of 5, took 5 shots, and then the next year is when it fell apart.
Yep.
And it all started. I remember it was in that Wizards series. It was the first round playoff series. The Wizards started to hack a Ben, to where it's like, this is now going to be what we're doing in the playoffs. And then he was scared. He immediately became scared to death. Immediately. He took him right out of the game. Do you remember the game he had where he had, I remember doing radio and being like, he sucks. And it's like, he had a triple double. Do you remember that game? I think it was against Washington where
it was like a 10-12-10 type of game. And
he wouldn't shoot it.
And I defended him in that game. I remember being on the radio and defending him and saying, like, this is what the Sixers need he's the type of player that will do what the Sixers need of him, right? If they need assists, he'll do that. If they need defense, he'll do that. And then to follow it up, that series where everything just crumbled, because you're right, the hack of Ben started that year.
No, he had 6 points, 15 rebounds, and 15 assists. But he wouldn't shoot. He was scared. Like, he was 0 for 6 from the foul line. That's what it was.
Yeah.
He was 0 for 6 from the foul line. And it's like, hang on a second, this is a problem. Anyway, so yeah, good times with the Sixers. Oh, I love reliving those good times with the Sixers, man. Unbelievable. Yeah, I'm over it. I'm over the Sixers. Hopefully they get Cooper Flag, everything else. What do you want me to say? You want me to be excited about next season? I know Daryl Morey's going on with Mike at some point today. What's he going to say? Is he going to actually take responsibility? Because that's kind of been the cue that he's had this season, is taking responsibility after the season, which is like, I made a lot of bad moves or things didn't work out and that's on me. Because that's the only thing he could be saying. Because what he's done in previous years is talked about like, hey, look, I took over. This organization's in a much better spot than it was before. What do you mean? No, they're not, Daryl. You've went backwards. And now it is a slow death march. Shout out to everybody who is watching on TV. Remember, you can watch on Xfinity, Samsung Plus, Roku, among others. Just search PHLY and you'll find us running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But switch on over to allphly.com because it's overtime. Michael Haynes there. He says, Mark's working from home again. Yeah, it wasn't my idea to work from home today. This is because stuff's going on at the studio. So don't it's insinuated in like, oh yeah, sure. There's Mark's again working from home. I didn't request to work from home today or yesterday. Tomorrow I'm working from home. So a request.
Listen, I love working from home. It allows us to be more comfortable. It allows us to do it from our own home setting. But I will say this, you're right. We have this week 4 days that we are going to be home, only one of which was our doing.
Yeah.
Monday, Wednesday, and yesterday was not a decision that we made. And it was a decision that was a company-wide decision that was made for reasons that we're not ready to get into yet. But it was not our call that we worked from home.
Yeah, but believe me, it's nice to walk downstairs and not have to drive into the studio. You know what's not nice? Having to feed the kids freaking breakfast and have them yelling and screaming and fighting with my wife and everything else before I come on. Like, sorry, I'm much more prepared that's why I have to get up early, because I have to get prepared before the circus starts. I don't want to freaking be here in the morning. Are you nuts? I love getting the hell out of the house and driving into the studio and not having anybody bothering me. Please. All right. Well, there you go. We'll save the Saquon thing for tomorrow because it's timeless. It's a timeless classic. The league is against the tush push. They're getting rid of it. Saquon had something to say about it in his tuxedo. That's coming up next. Anthony is live right now. Slide on over to him. And thank you for tuning in. Remember, like, subscribe, do all those good things on YouTube. You can watch whenever. Get the audio podcast if you want to listen to the audio version of the show, especially if you're in your car and you're driving. Wherever you get your podcast, search Philly with John Marks. Tyler has a video on demand that will be coming out later on today with the Phillies. What time does that drop, Tyler?
That will be out at 1:00 today.
So look for that.
Yeah.
Look for that today as the Phillies look for.
I don't know exactly what we're talking about just yet, but it'll be out. Don't worry.
I think you have some pretty good content to talk about today with your fighting Phils.
May talk about Taijuan Walker again. I've given the guy a lot of credit, but might talk about Taijuan Walker again.
Man, the Rays stink. He struck out the side 2 straight innings.
Listen, again, they're awful. They're not a good baseball team, and they're towards the bottom in average and OBP and all that kind of stuff. But you got to tip the cap where the cap is due to be tipped. Yep,
for sure. All right, everybody have a good one. We'll talk to you tomorrow live at 8 a.m. See ya.
We all city like the mayor.